On my birthday, I had no clue what awaited me. The day began like any other, filled with joy, eagerness, and the usual birthday greetings and presents. My husband had been acting a bit strange in the days leading up to my birthday, but I assumed it was just a way of planning a special surprise. I was accustomed to his grand plans, romantic dinners, special trips, or something intimate and thoughtful just for us. But this birthday was set to take an entirely unexpected turn, one that would change my view of our relationship forever. The morning started out normally, with my husband wishing me a happy birthday. He kissed me deeply, and I could tell there was something different about him, almost as if he was holding back something exciting. His eyes gleamed with playfulness, but he did not reveal anything yet. Throughout the day, he dropped little clues like, "I have something special planned for tonight, and you are going to love it." I smiled, thinking it could be a fancy dinner or perhaps a weekend getaway he had booked as a surprise. When evening came, I felt a strong sense of excitement. My husband had told me to dress up but did not specify what to wear. I picked a simple yet attractive dress that fit me perfectly, leaving just enough to the imagination. As I was finishing up, the doorbell rang. I thought it might be a delivery or a surprise gift, but when I opened the door, I was taken back to find my husband's best friend standing there. I had known him for years, and he had always been a part of our lives. Mostly friendly, he was funny, nice, and easy to get along with, but I had never seen him in a romantic light. However, tonight felt different. He greeted me with a knowing smile as he stepped inside, and my husband greeted him gently. It was clear this was part of the plan, though I still had no idea what the plan actually was. After some small talk, my husband took my hand and led me into the living room. Candles were lit, casting a soft glow throughout the room, and music played low and gently. My heart started to race. The tension in the air was strong, though I could not yet understand what was happening. My husband's friend sat on the couch watching us closely, and my husband pulled me in, whispering in my ear, "Are you ready for your surprise?" I nodded, curiosity growing. He kissed me passionately, his hands moving down my back, and for a brief moment I forgot we were not alone. But then I felt it, another presence. I glanced over, and my husband's friend was still there watching us, a hint of a smile on his lips. It was then that I realized what was going on. My husband had never hinted at anything like this before, but in that moment I understood. This was not just an ordinary birthday surprise, it was something much more powerful, something that crossed boundaries we had never discussed. But instead of feeling shocked or uncomfortable, I found myself strangely interested. The thought of being with both my husband and his best friend was something I had never considered, but here it was happening right in front of me. My husband pulled me closer, his kisses deepening, and his friend stood up and moved towards us. The energy in the room was thick with tension and desire. My heart was racing, and I could feel the heat building between us all. The tension was heavy. My husband whispered in my ear again, "Do you trust me?" I nodded, speechless, my body already responding to the excitement rushing through me. He smiled and kissed me again, this time more deeply, his hands roaming over me, pulling me closer. I could sense his friend moving nearer. I heard the sound of his breath and the movement of his clothes as he positioned himself behind me. My mind raced, but I did not stop him. I did not stop either of them. As my husband's hands explored my body, I felt his friend's hands join in together. They moved in perfect sync, touching, playing, and pushing me further into a state of overwhelming desire. My mind was spinning, caught between the excitement of this unexpected experience and the powerful feelings taking over my body. The three of us were lost in the moment, tangled in a web of passion and pleasure that I had never known before. My husband's friend leaned in, his breath warm against my neck, and I shivered as his lips brushed my skin. My husband kissed me deeply, his hands holding my hips while his friend's hands moved along my back. It was an experience unlike anything I had ever imagined, and I found myself giving in completely, letting them take control, letting them show me what they had planned for my birthday. The night continued in a blur of intense moments, our bodies moving together in ways I had never experienced. It was wild, intense, and incredibly freeing. I felt like I was part of something much bigger than just a physical connection. There was an unspoken bond between us, a deep sense of trust that allowed us to explore these new feelings without hesitation or fear. As the night went on, I grew more comfortable with the situation. My husband and his friends seemed to know exactly how to touch me, how to bring me to the edge of bliss and back again. It was as if they had planned every detail, knowing exactly what would push my boundaries and make the experience amazing. I had never felt more wanted than in that moment. They adored my body, taking turns exploring every inch of me, driving me to heights of pleasure I had never known. It was intense, raw, and utterly addictive. I could feel their passion and hunger, and it only fueled my own desire. By the time the night ended, I was completely exhausted, lying between my husband and his friend, feeling an overwhelming sense of satisfaction and connection. It was a birthday surprise unlike any other one I would never forget. My husband kissed me gently, his hand resting on my hip, and his friend smiled at me, his eyes filled with kindness and affection. We did not speak much after that. There was no need. The night had been perfect, and we all knew it. As I lay there, my mind raced with thoughts of what had just happened. I never imagined I would be part of something like this, but now that it had occurred, I could not picture my life without it. It was exciting, fun, and completely unexpected. The next morning when I woke up, my husband was already up making breakfast. His friend had left early, leaving the two of us alone to think on the night. I smiled at my husband, feeling an overwhelming sense of love and gratitude for him. He had given me the most incredible birthday surprise, one that pushed the boundaries of our relationship in the best possible way. As I sipped my coffee, my husband leaned over and kissed me softly, whispering, "Happy birthday." His playful smile told me that this was just the beginning of a new chapter in our relationship, one filled with trust, passion, and perhaps even more surprises. It was a night I would never forget, a birthday that had changed everything. As I sat there thinking on the events, I could not help but feel incredibly lucky to have a husband who understood me so well, who knew how to surprise me in ways I never expected. In the days that followed, I could not stop remembering that night. It was like a secret memory, one that resurfaced whenever I had a quiet moment. My relationship with my husband had always been strong, but this experience had brought us even closer, creating a strong bond. We had shared something so intimate, so exciting, and it left me wanting more. Every time I looked at my husband, and I could see that we were both thinking the same thing. There was an unspoken connection between us, a feeling that something had changed, and we both liked it. He would flash me that mischievous smile, reminding me of what we had shared, and it would send a shiver down my spine. But there was also a question hanging between us, one that we had not addressed yet. Was that night a one-off, or was it the start of something new? One evening, about a week after my birthday, we were lounging on the couch together, relaxing after a long day. My husband was scrolling through his phone, and I was lost in thought when he suddenly looked up at me. His eyes gleamed with that familiar cheeky look. "I have been thinking," he began, his voice quiet and teasing, "about your birthday surprise." My heart skipped a beat. I had been thinking about it too, of course, but hearing him bring it up made it all feel so much more real. "Yeah," I replied, trying to keep my voice steady though my heart was racing. He shifted closer, his hand sliding up my thigh in that way that always sent tingles through my body. "Did you enjoy it?" he asked, his voice now a little more serious, though still laced with that teasing tone. I nodded but biting my lip. "You know I did," I whispered. He smiled, that same naughty grin that always made my knees weak. "Good," he said, softly leaning in to kiss. Mia's lips were warm and soft, and as he kissed me I could feel all the emotions from that night rushing back. The passion, the excitement, the thrill of something new and unexpected. When he pulled away, he looked into my eyes looking for something. "Would you want to do it again?" he asked, his voice barely above a whisper, as if he were sharing a secret. My pulse jumped at the question. The thought of doing it again had crossed my mind more than once since my birthday, but I had not been sure how to bring it up. Now that he had, I could not help but feel a wave of excitement. Maybe I said, my voice playful yet serious at the same time. "Are you thinking what I think you are thinking?" He grinned again, his hand giving my thigh a slight press. "I might be," he teased, but the seriousness in his eyes told me he was more than just playing around. "I have been talking to him," he said quietly, referring to his friend. "He enjoyed it too a lot." A warmth spread across my body at his words. The memory of his friend's hands on Mia's lips on my skin came rushing back. Clearly, the idea of experiencing that again, of sharing something so intimate with both of them, sent a shock through me. "What are you suggesting?" I asked, though I already knew the answer. My husband leaned in, closer, his voice dropping to a whisper. "I am suggesting in that maybe we do not have to stop at just one night." My breath froze in my throat. The idea of making this a regular part of our relationship, of exploring this new setup, was both exciting and nerve-wracking, but as I looked into his eyes, I could see how much he wanted this, how much he wanted to share this experience with me again, and I realized that I wanted it too. "I think I would like that," I whispered, my voice barely audible, but my meaning was clear. His smile widened and he kissed me again, this time with more urgency, more passion. I could feel the excitement building between us, the same spark that had started on my birthday night. I knew in that moment that this was just the beginning of something new and thrilling for our relationship. A few days later, my husband came to me with another plan. He had been talking to his friend again, and they had planned another night just like the one we had shared on my birthday. This time, though, there was no birthday to celebrate, no big occasion. It was just us exploring this new dynamic, pushing the boundaries of our relationship in ways we never had before. The night arrived, and once again, I was filled with that same mix of anticipation and excitement. I dressed in something bold, knowing that the night would be intense, that it would be unforgettable. My husband and his friend arrived, and as soon as they walked through the door, I could feel the tension in the air. There was no need for introductions this time, no awkward small talk. We all knew what was about to happen, and the excitement was strong. My husband pulled me into his arms, kissing me deeply while his friend stood close by, watching us with that same desperate look in his eyes. The three of us moved together easily, as though we had done this countless times before. There was no hesitation, no uncertainty, just pure raw desire. The intensity of the night was even greater than it had been on my birthday, and I found myself completely lost in the moment, giving into the feeling and the thrill of being with both of them at once. Every touch, every kiss, every moment was charged. By the time the night was over, I was completely spent, tangled in sheets and limbs, feeling more complete than I ever had before. My husband kissed me softly, his hand resting on my hip, and his friend smiled at me, his eyes filled with kindness and affection. This was not just a one-time thing anymore. It had become something more, something that had become part of our relationship. And as I lay there glowing in the afterglow of the night, I realized that I was more than okay with that. In fact, I was excited about what the future offered and the new moments we would share together. If you have enjoyed my stories, do not forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel. There is so much more to come, and you will not want to miss a single second. Trust me, the twists are only just starting.